Tassif here. Welcome to another live stream. And I am here right at 10 p.m. Please, as you are joining, write something in the chat window. I would appreciate that. And as you know, earlier today, some of you may have seen that I published a video talking about Donald Trump and Nikki Haley and the spring election results from Wisconsin. And it was actually a podcast episode, and the video version of that premiered on my YouTube channel. And so some of you watched it. I know my friend Terry Dunlap was there, Teresa Ross was there, Barb Romberg was there, and then there were a few other people, I think, but I saw comments from Terry Dunlap, Teresa Ross, and Barb Romberg during the premiere. And so if you have not watched that video yet, please do so. It's one of the most important videos that I've published in a while, I think, because I presented an analysis of the results of the Wisconsin spring election, which took place on April 2nd, which was yesterday. And I shared some input, my analysis about who I think Donald Trump's vice presidential pick should be, and the reason behind the conclusion that I came to, that I arrived at. So please check out that video. And I have some very important things to discuss today. I'm going to be talking about a big endorsement that Trump got. And then I'll also be talking about some fundraising information. And then I'll talk about something very shocking that happened in New Mexico. Not in Mexico. I'm talking about the state of New Mexico. And then I'll also highlight that an elected official switched parties, went from becoming Democrat to becoming a Republican. So I'll talk about who that is. And then finally, I'll talk a little bit about energy price. So these are some important things that I have for today, but obviously this is not everything. If you have questions, if you have things you want to talk about, comments about other issues that's not listed, so feel free to engage and talk about any other issues that you want to discuss. If you've been following my YouTube channel, you know that I want this to be a conversation. I want this to be not just me speaking, but I want others to engage and participate. So having said that, I'm going to jump right into the discussion. But before that, once again, please say hello in the chat window. Write the name of the state where you're from. See, just like my friend Terry Dunlap, she wrote, South Dakota is on the chat. We always welcome South Dakota. South Dakota is an awesome state run by an awesome governor. So always wonderful to have Terry from South Dakota on the chat. All right, my friends, let me get started here. Trump got a major endorsement, okay? And you may be wondering, who endorsed Trump? Oh, Washington State in the chat. Wonderful. I see it's Reese, right? Is that how you pronounce it? Reese? Reese, is this your first time on this chat? Have you are you new to my channel? Oh, you're new to my channel. Oh, wonderful. Welcome, Reese. It's so wonderful to have Washington State joining us. So, Reese, just to give you a little bit of an overview of my channel, and I'm sure you can check out the previous videos and the shorts and the live streams that I've done, but I am a resident of Madison, Wisconsin. So I live in the state capital, city of Madison, in the state of Wisconsin. And this channel is about social and political issues, both domestic and international. And I primarily, over the last few months, I've talked about the border crisis and how that's hurting us. I've talked about energy price hike. I've talked about crime and lawlessness and the presidential election and lots of other different topics. So Reese, welcome. It's wonderful to see that you've discovered my channel and you've joined the live stream. So thank you for that. Okay, everyone, let's welcome Reese. Okay, so as I was saying, Trump got a major endorsement, and we know that Trump got major endorsements in the recent past. Different US senators, different members of Congress, other high profile individuals have endorsed Trump. But the endorsement that I'm about to point out is not from an individual person. It's from a group of people, and not a small group of people. It's from a large group of people. And you may be wondering what group has endorsed Trump. Well, let me share that with you. The Police Officers Association of Michigan. The Police Officers Association of Michigan endorsed Trump on Tuesday, which was yesterday. And yesterday was also the day that Trump came to Wisconsin, went to Green Bay to do a big rally, which was a successful rally. I was not at the rally. We had terrible weather yesterday and the day before, and even today it was pretty bad. And so I was not able to go to Green Bay to attend the rally, but I know a lot of my friends were there. They had a great time. And so yesterday was also when the Police Officers Association of Michigan endorsed Donald Trump. So the president of the Police Officers Association of Michigan endorsed Trump on behalf of 12,000 law enforcement personnel, 12,000 law enforcement people. So the president of the association endorsed Trump on behalf of 12,000 people in the profession of law enforcement. My friends, the police officers need help. They protect and serve, but they cannot do that without our support, without resources. And so the police officers, they need resources to combat crimes, and they're hungry for leadership. The police officers, they want a leader in the White House who will value the law enforcement profession, who will respect the law enforcement profession, who will provide resources to the law enforcement officers so that they can protect and serve, so that they can keep communities safe. So the association endorsed Donald Trump because Trump is a law and order candidate. My friends, Donald Trump is a friend of the men and women of law enforcement, and this endorsement, it's a major endorsement. And look at what happened in New York. A law enforcement officer died because of widespread lawlessness in the city. Officer Jonathan Diller. It's heartbreaking. He was a young police officer. He was shot and killed during a traffic stop in New York City. And the law enforcement officers, the law enforcement community, they can see what Democrat policies have done to our cities and states. An officer in New York shot and killed during a traffic stop. And there are many repeat offenders in New York City who are committing crimes. They are going to jail, they're coming out of jail, they're committing crimes again, they're getting arrested again, and then again being released, and they're committing crimes again. There are many repeat offenders, people who have been arrested half a dozen times, dozen times or more, and somehow they find their way back to the streets and they commit more crimes. So Democrat policies have caused severe damage to many communities, including New York City. And Officer Jonathan Diller was shot and killed in New York City during a traffic stop. Heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking. This should not be happening. And so the law enforcement community, they can see what the liberal policies have done to so many communities, the damage, the havoc. And so the law enforcement community, they want true leadership. They want bold leadership. They want strong leadership. And they want Donald Trump as president. And so it does not surprise me that the Police Officers Association of Michigan endorsed Trump. This is what should be happening. Law enforcement community should support Trump. This is a great endorsement, my friends. This is major. And let me tell you, this endorsement in November of 2024, this endorsement is going to help Donald Trump a lot in Michigan. And this endorsement will have a nationwide impact. Other police officers associations will see this, and many other associations may also decide to do the same. They may also decide to endorse Donald Trump. And it's not just the men and women of law enforcement. It goes beyond the individuals who are in that profession. I mean, think about the families of law enforcement officers, the husbands, the wives, the brothers and sisters, the parents of law enforcement officers, the children of law enforcement officers. They all understand. They all understand the need for a true leader who will support the men and women in blue. My friends, I've said this before. I stand with the men and women of law enforcement. I back the blue. I want the law enforcement community to get the resources that they need to combat crimes. So this is a major endorsement, and I'm just so happy that the president of the Police Officers Association of Michigan endorsed Trump on behalf of 12,000 law enforcement people. So this is massive. And also, my second point is that Trump and the RNC, they raised a lot of money. Did you hear that? I mean, money is a key ingredient in an election. I mean, obviously, money isn't everything. It's all about your ideas, your policy proposals, the promises that you make as a candidate, and also a candidate's record. Like Donald Trump, he doesn't just make promises, he delivers on the promises that he makes. And how do I know that? Because we all have seen Donald Trump during his first term in office. He made promises and he delivered on the promises. And so, it's not just money. Your personality, is important. Your policies, your proposals, the promises that you make, and your record. So everything is important for a candidate in an election. But money is very much essential to run ads, to do rallies, to reach more people, to get out the vote campaigns. And it's just important. You need money even to, make flyers and brochures and yard signs. Money is essential. So fundraising is a key aspect of a successful campaign. So former President Donald Trump and the Republican National Committee, they raised more than $65 million in March, and they ended the month with $93 million in cash on hand. And I saw these data provided, these data in Politico. So anyway, you can go and look at the numbers on the internet. And Trump is raising money, RNC is raising money, but Biden is also raising money. I mean, the Democrats are working day and night to raise money. The Democrats don't work day and night to improve the lives of the people. That they don't do, okay? I mean, look at what Biden has done. Biden has caused inflation, which I call Bidenflation. Biden has caused the border crisis, which I call the Biden border crisis. Biden has caused energy price hike. And, with Biden in office, our relationship with our global allies, those relationships have become weak. So we need a strong leader who can handle domestic policies and also handle international affairs successfully. So that's going to be Donald Trump. But, Biden is not working hard for the people of America. His administration is not looking at the best interest of the American people, but they are busy, Biden and his campaign people, they are busy raising money. And so there's obviously going to be a lot of competition. And reportedly, Biden raised $25 million during a fundraiser in New York City. a fundraiser in New York City, and Biden raised $25 million. Unbelievable amount of money. And so there are lots of celebrities who are helping Biden raise a lot of money, okay? A lot of cash. So the big names in entertainment, in music, in movies, all the celebrities, all the people with, luxury homes and jewelry and fancy clothes and bodyguards, they are many of them are backing Biden. They are supporting Biden. But guess what? The average Americans are supporting Trump. The hardworking, freedom-loving American people are supporting Trump. The celebrities, many of them are supporting Biden. Let's look at the chat window. So Terry writes, Trump has another fundraiser April 6th, expecting 33 million. Oh wow, that's amazing. So yeah, that's great. I didn't know that, Terry. So thank you for sharing that. Please, my friends, if you have information you want to share it in the chat window. Please do so, okay? And because I get to learn a lot from reading the comments in the chat window and from learning about all that information. So please write something in the chat window, participate in the conversation. So as I was saying, the big names in entertainment and movies, many of them are supporting Biden, but the average Americans, the hardworking people of our country, they're supporting Trump. And I'm going to share with you next a very, very shocking news. You're going to be shocked, okay? This is about the border crisis. And my friends, I have been talking a lot about the border crisis and all that's happening in the country because of the border crisis. I've talked about sanctuary cities and prepaid debit cards for migrants in New York City and so on and so forth. I've talked about Denver, I've talked about San Francisco, Chicago, and so much more. Let me tell you what's going on in New Mexico. Now, I don't know if there's anyone from New Mexico in this chat. Is there anyone from New Mexico or from a nearby state? Anyone from Texas? Anyone from... usually, I know that Laura Floyd joins our live stream, and she's from Texas. I don't know if she's here today, but anyone else from Texas or Arizona? I know Teresa Ross is from Arizona. So anyway, anyone from New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, let me just tell you what's going on in a border community. This is shocking. Reportedly, illegal immigrants were caught hiding at a middle school in New Mexico, not far from the US-Mexico border, very close to El Paso, Texas. Migrants caught hiding at a middle school in New Mexico. I mean, can you believe that? Can you believe what's going on in the country? We want school safety. And when I see the news of migrants hiding at a middle school, how shocking is that? Are you shocked? Are you shocked? Reportedly, last month, a middle school in New Mexico was put on lockdown twice. Twice. Lockdown twice. Why? Because migrants were found hiding on school campus. I mean, can you believe that? This, I don't know what to say. What's happening to our country? What's going on? Migrants, illegal immigrants hiding on school campus in New Mexico, in a border community. This is unbelievable. This happened in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. That's where this happened, and it is so shocking. So there are migrants who try to hide from Border Patrol, and they try to sneak into the United States, and they look for places to hide. They look for places where they can hide. And so migrants were found hiding on a school campus in New Mexico. Just imagine what's going on. These migrants, and we don't know who they are. We don't know anything about their background. We don't know their history. These are migrants who tried to sneak into the United States. They wanted to hide from the authorities, and they found a middle school for hiding. They are trying to hide in schools. This is extremely disturbing news, and when I read that, I was thinking, what's going on in the world? You know, I feel like the border crisis is really getting worse every single day. And at any point you think that you've seen the worst, and then something new happens. There's some other breaking news. I mean, we want schools to be safe and secure. You know, schools will have to be, you know, where the kids are. Schools have to be safe. And so schools in the border communities are now not safe anymore. In the border communities of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, schools are not safe. When you read this news, this is so scary. And Terry wrote, that would scare me. That would scare me if I had kids in that school. Absolutely. I mean, think about the parents of the kids who go to that school. The kids who do go to that school. Think about their parents. The parents must be so worried. They must be scared. They must be scared to send their kids to school. And it's a middle school. I mean, think about it. These are little kids. It's unbelievable what's going on. This is Biden border crisis. This is created by Joe Biden and his administration. JW is here. Hello, JW. Glad to see that you're here. Thanks for joining. JW from Ohio. JW writes, wasn't there something bad that happened with migrants hiding in Bronx too? I talked about previously, I forget if it was Brooklyn or Bronx or Queens or, you know, where it was, but there were reports of migrants hiding in the basement of a furniture store. Remember that? I talked about it. There were like dozens of people hiding in the basement of a furniture store. And so I don't know if that's what you're referring to or if you're referring to something else. But anyway, I'm gonna go forward here. I'm gonna share with you some interesting news. You know, a lot of people are walking away from the Democratic Party, and I've said this before. A lot of people are walking away because they are sick and tired of what the Democrats are doing. I mean, there are voters, and you know, I'm just giving you an introduction before going on to the next topic, which is quite an interesting one. Okay, I'll tell you about a person who has switched parties. Okay, a lot of people are moving away from the Democratic Party, and a very prominent example would be Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii. She was a Democratic congressman, but she walked away from the Democratic Party, right? She left the party. And then also Jim Justice, the governor of West Virginia. He used to be a Democrat, and he also left the Democrat Party. And so there are other examples, but these are two prominent examples. So, you know, and even when you know, shift away from like the high-profile political leaders and you look at the general population, there are a lot of people who are living among us, maybe in our neighborhoods, in our villages, cities, towns. You know, people who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, but now they regret. Now they regret. I know for a fact that there are people, there are voters who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, but now they regret that vote. So these are individuals who are not far left. They're not like the far left. They're not the progressive activists. They're just, you know, everyday people, hardworking people. But for whatever reason, they voted for Joe Biden. But now after they saw the inflation and the border crisis and the crime, the lawlessness, the wars in different parts of the world and the military conflicts and and social unrest. And when they see all of this, a lot of moderate Democrats, they're going to say, you know what, we're no longer going to vote for Joe Biden. That's what a lot of people are going to say. And so let me give you an example of somebody who left the Democratic Party and joined the GOP. But before that, let's welcome Maya Sisters from Middleton, Wisconsin, which is right here, a couple miles from here. So Maya Sisters, glad to see that you're here. How are the roads in Middleton? I hope the roads are fine. The roads in Middleton are very similar to the roads in West Madison. Okay, it's just next to each other. Um, yeah, we had a very tough few days here in southern Wisconsin. My sister's writes roads have been cleared. That's wonderful. Yeah, I think very early in the morning the roads were in pretty bad shape. I was paying attention to all the news updates, and I on Twitter I follow a lot of the local meteorologists from like NBC 15 and Channel 3000, and even some folks from the Milwaukee area like TMJ4 and WISN and all that. So I follow a lot of meteorologists on Twitter. So whenever I'm on Twitter, I see their posts pop up, and they post the charts and the graphs. And there was a map of Wisconsin color coded that showed all the different roads and highways and what roads were slippery and what were okay. And so I could see on that map there were lots of slippery roads based on their maps. Anyway, um, everything's better now. And right before I started the live stream, I actually saw that there are some flurries outside. So um, here in Dane County, we're getting a few flurries, I think, on and off. Anyway, so Maya Sisters, glad to see that you're here. I'm going to be talking about somebody who left the Democratic Party and joined the GOP. So this is a Nebraska state senator, a state level official, a state senator from the state of Nebraska, who announced on Wednesday, that is today, that he is leaving the Democrats and he's joining the Republican Party. State Senator Mike McDonald told reporters that he's going to be registered as a Republican in Nebraska. And he has been a Democrat since 1984. Okay. I mean, this man has been a Democrat since before my birth. Okay. And since 1984. And finally, he's leaving the Democrat Party and he's becoming a Republican. So this individual, State Senator Mike McDonald of Nebraska, he is reportedly a pro-life. He's a pro-life individual. And so one of the things that happened, based on the reports that I read, his pro-life position doesn't fit well with the pro-choice, the pro-abortion Democrats. Okay. And so I think that's one of the reasons, but there may be other reasons. I mean, obviously, somebody who has been a Democrat since 1984, that's a long time, and finally is leaving the Democratic Party, becoming a Republican officially, that's a major decision. That's a major life decision. So I'm sure he arrived at that decision after a lot of, thinking and careful consideration. So anyway, and the reason I point this out is because, do you wonder how many other people may be out there who are, who are Democrats, but now they are not so sure. They're thinking, you know what, uh, somebody might think, oh, I'm not I don't know if I'm a Republican, but I'm not a Democrat anymore. I think a lot of people are thinking that way. Uh, people, they're not sure that if they are Republicans, but they're figuring out, they're realizing that they can't really stay with the Democratic Party anymore because of some of the really wild and far left stuff that the Democrats are engaged in. It's unbelievable. So obviously, this state senator from Nebraska, Mike McDonald, I have never met him. I This is the first time I have read about him, and I don't know his electoral history. I don't know his history as an elected official, but what I do know is that um, he's walking away from the Democratic Party and he's becoming a Republican, and it's a significant move. Terry writes, a lot of Democrats in Midwest are lifelong family Democrats because of agriculture support from FDR. Yeah, many people, they consider themselves Democrats because their parents were Democrats, their grandparents were Democrats. And let me tell you, the Democrats now are not the same as the John F. Kennedy Democrats, right? I mean, everything's changed. uh JW writes, that's what happened to me between 2020 and now. The left went too far left, too radical. Okay, JW, well, thank you for sharing that with us. A lot of people are going to say, because, um, a significant part of the country votes for Republicans, a significant part of the country votes for Democrats, right? We have the two-party system. And, not everyone's far right or far left, okay? You know, if you think about both sides, there are some individuals who are far left, there are some individuals who are far right, and people can define these differently. I think different people would say different things about what the characteristics of somebody far right or far left uh, is. But all I'm saying is, a lot of America, a big part of the population, they're kind of middle. They're kind of in the middle. They lean left, they lean right, but they're sort of in the middle. And I see a lot of people in the middle right here in Wisconsin, because as I said, Wisconsin happens to be a swing state, a battleground state. There are individuals who, they don't vote party line. They don't vote straight Republican or straight Democrat. They evaluate different candidates, and sometimes they may vote for a member of Congress who's a Democrat, and then they may vote for a state legislator who is a Republican. So that can happen, and so we see that kind of cross voting here in Wisconsin. And so in the same election, same ballot, you can see that in the same election, a statewide race has been won by a Republican and a statewide race has been won by a Democrat. And what does that tell you? That tells you that there are voters out there who are going, and perhaps they are, on one line for one office, they are voting for the Democrat candidate, and then for the next line for another office, they are voting for, if they are voting for a Democrat, then they are voting for a Republican. So they may vote for Democrats and Republicans on the same ballot for different offices. That does happen. I think it's pretty widespread here in Wisconsin. Uh, all right. JW writes, it's not our parents Democrats. Exactly. I read American history, and I talk to people who have been involved in politics for many, many years, people who have been active in the political world for decades, and maybe before them, their parents were also very much involved. So, I learned from them about their viewpoints, and a lot of them say, you know what, decades ago, uh, Democrats were different compared to the Democrats now. I mean, you could be a Democrat, you could be a Republican, and you could still, you may have different views, but you love the country, right? Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, maybe your policies, your approaches are different, but there's the common feeling that, hey, we love this country. But now there are many Democrats, far, far left Democrats. I'm not going to mention any names here. I think you know who they are. Just, watch the news and follow social media, and you know who they are. There are many far left Democrats who would who would turn this country into a socialist country, right? People who don't stand for the flag, people who don't like the Pledge of Allegiance, people who won't sing the national anthem. There are, far left politicians like that who would like to turn this country into a socialist country, into a communist country. So, really, a lot of Democrats nowadays, especially the far left, the progressives, they're not the same Democrats that you saw, 30, 40 years ago or 50 years ago. So anyway, what I was saying is that there are a lot of people who are, right in the middle. And so many voters who leaned towards Democrats who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, but now they are suffering because of inflation. They are suffering because of the border crisis and everything else that's going on. And so a lot of those folks may say, you know what? Not going to vote for Biden anymore. Not going to vote for Biden. Anyway, my friends, I'm just happy to see that State Senator Mike McDonald decided to leave the Democratic Party and become a Republican. Mike McDonald from Nebraska. He's a state senator. And I'm hoping that as we get closer to the election, more and more Democrats, reasonable Democrats, freedom loving, pro Second Amendment, pro life, pro freedom of speech Democrats, people who are moderate Democrats, I'm hoping more and more of them will decide to switch. Okay, switch and become Republicans. Or if you don't want to be a Republican, fine, just leave the Democratic Party, because the Democrats are really, their policies are destroying this country. The border is still wide open and migrants are pouring into the country. And as I just told you, there are migrants who managed to sneak into the country and they used a school campus for hiding. This is unacceptable. This is unbelievable. This should not be happening. And so any reasonable person cannot support the Joe Biden administration after all that they have done. They have created this border crisis. Their policies have resulted in inflation, the reckless spending. It's unbelievable. So anyway, I wanted to share the update about Senator Mike McDonald of Nebraska, who left the Democratic Party and joined the GOP. Yeah, JW writes, it's true, they want socialism. Socialism is something we have to stay away from. Socialism is going to destroy our country. We must never allow socialist policies in the United States. Terry writes, I think if you're a Democrat, you're too far left. Lots of Democrats, as I said, they are far left or they are moving in that direction, but there are still, I know this because I've had conversation with Democrats, people who really regret voting for Joe Biden. Okay, and I understand it's hard for them to admit it, right? I mean, it's hard for people to admit that the person they voted for, it was a wrong decision, especially when it's something as significant as voting for somebody for president. We're not talking about a smaller office. We're talking about the highest public office in the country. And so I get it. There are lots of Democrat voters who regret voting for Joe Biden, and it's difficult for them to admit that. It's difficult for them to say, oh, I made a mistake. All right. But, from my conversations, I have learned from people that there are many Democrats who regret voting for Joe Biden because, everyone's suffering because of inflation. Everyone's suffering because of inflation, especially, people on limited incomes, hardworking Americans who are, working long hours, or they are working multiple jobs to make ends meet. People are suffering because of inflation. And I think people realize that the Biden administration's policies, the Democrats' policies, caused inflation because they remember the Trump years when Trump was in office and things were so good back then. JW writes, there's a lot of people expressing regret for Biden vote on Twitter. Yeah, people have lots of regrets. And you know what? It's really hard for them to admit that, especially in person. On Twitter, people have just on in general on social media, people have the option of staying anonymous and expressing regret, right? People can be anonymous and they can go on social media, they can, maybe they'll use a different name, have an account, and they can, especially on those anonymous sites, like things, there are those discussion rooms where people can be anonymous and they can talk politics freely. um, a lot of people regret. But if you're talking to your neighbor or your friend or your coworker or somebody in your community, if that person voted for Biden and regrets doing so, it may be difficult for that person to say it. To say, hey, you know what, made a mistake by voting for Biden. It's more difficult when the anonymity doesn't isn't there. When you actually are in front of people and you want to express your regret for voting for Biden, it's hard to do that. I get it. But I know a lot of people feel that way. Terry writes, I heard McDonald is switching because of abortion issue, but if he not willing to be fully Republican, we will have a Republican in name only. Like I said, Terry, I don't know the history of Mike McDonald. He obviously has been a Democrat since 1984. I don't know how long he has been an elected official. I don't know that, so I have to go through his electoral history and I have to read his past statements, read about the bills that he introduced or voted on and everything. I mean, you're going to have to do a thorough research, and it's not going to take hours. It's probably going to take days, if not weeks, to learn about an elected official from Nebraska, and to do a study on how he voted on issues in the past. So I don't know if he's switching just because of the abortion issue, or is he switching because he just thinks that the Democrats are moving too far left and that he can't be one of them. I don't know. We're gonna have to find out. Terry writes, I already did tonight. So you've already done the research, Terry? Is that what you're referring to? That's wonderful. If you want to share some results with us, that'd be great. Yeah, I was busy recording a podcast episode, and then I had to set up um, that premiere. So didn't have much time to do research. Terry writes he voting with Republicans on abortion and LGBT issues a lot. Okay, so those are the issues, abortion and LGBT issues, that Terry is saying, that the state senator kind of agrees with the Republicans on. Okay. All right. Well, Terry, thank you for sharing that information. If you have any links that you want to share, please feel free to do that. Terry writes, hey, it's all over the web. Nebraska Democrats censured. Okay. Yeah, I think I did see that, that the Nebraska Democrats had a little bit of conflict with him. Anyway, my friends, I'm going to talk about another very important issue, oil prices. Oh my God, my friends, every time I'm going to the gas station and I'm buying gas and I'm pumping gas, it's painful, let me tell you. It is very, very painful because oil prices are going up. And Terry writes, Nebraska News Channel. All right, Terry, I'm going to be doing some more reading after this live stream. And so oil prices are going up. We feel that. If you go to the gas station, if you're buying gas, you know what's going on. And reportedly, U.S. oil benchmark tops $85 a barrel. $85 a barrel. And reportedly, this is the highest level since October. Let me look at what Badgerden's writing. Badgerden says, looks like New Mexico wants to be like New York. They are very woke and they want to push leftist policies. Yeah, Badgerden, I don't know if you just joined or you were here for a while, but I talked about migrants, illegal immigrants hiding in a school in New Mexico. Unbelievable. What's going on? Let's see. Okay, do you have any other news updates from New Mexico? I think, Badgerden, what are you referring to? I'm gonna look it up. What did Michelle Grisham do now, the Democrat governor of New Mexico? Is there something else? Is it about the migrant? Let's see. Janet Cobb is here. Janet Cobb writes, "Hello, Tassif. Hello, Janet. So wonderful to see that you're here. Thank you for joining. Glad that you could be here. We're having a conversation about many issues. And now I'm trying to find out something about New Mexico. Badgerden, if you have some news updates you want to share, please do so. Yeah, but New Mexico, let me tell you that the governor of New Mexico, Michelle Grisham, I don't know. All I'll say is that New Mexico needs a Republican governor, okay? New Mexico desperately needs a Republican governor. Oil prices, my friends, $85 per barrel. Can you imagine that? There's tension in the Middle East, the war, the conflict, all of that will affect the price that we pay at the pump. And it's just getting more and more and more painful. Oh, okay. So Badgerden writes, the governor is a Dem who is speaking the same talking points as Hochul and Adams are. You know, all the Democrats, they kind of stick together, okay? They kind of stick together. They follow each other's policies, all right? I mean, it's like one governor does something, one Democrat governor or one Democrat mayor, and then the other mayors, other governors will follow that. They have the same, like, operations manual. Terry writes, gas was up another 15 cents this week here. Oh, Terry, every time I'm going to buy gas, I get sick. Really, I feel sick. And a lot of people do. I mean, you're not going to see anyone smiling when pumping gas anymore, okay? Because gas has become a headache. Let's see. Badgerden writes, and unlike Arizona, they don't have a Kari Lake. Yeah, you know, Arizona has hope. Arizona has hope because Kari Lake may win in Arizona. And, you know, I know it's an uphill battle because I think the John McCain Republicans they're not really happy with Kari Lake, the John McCain Republicans. But there's still hope. There's still hope that Kari Lake may win the Senate seat in Arizona. But yeah, New Mexico needs a leader. And who's going to be the leader in New Mexico? I don't know. New Mexico needs a super conservative, a rising star of some sort, somebody who can run against Michelle Grisham and be the governor. And let's see, when is Michelle Grisham up for re-election? Michelle Grisham, when is she up for re-election? Does anyone know? JW writes, gas jumped 30 to 40 cents in my area in Ohio. Oh, it is painful. All right, let me see. I'm trying to find out when Michelle Grisham is up for re-election. Okay. So Michelle Grisham Her current term started on January 1st of 2023, which means 2023, she's got 3 more years, I think. So she's going to be up for re-election in 2026, okay? 2026. So, yeah, well, I think if somebody wants to run against Michelle Grisham, that person looking at 2026, that person should start campaigning already, right? I think that would be my advice. Anyone who wants to run for governor in 2026 in New Mexico should start thinking about it now. Start planning ahead. I don't know if there are lots of solid rising star Republicans in New Mexico or not. Obviously, I'm not in New Mexico. I've never been to New Mexico. I don't know the everyday politics of New Mexico, but Michelle Grisham, she's going to be up for re-election if she decides to run for re-election. And I don't know if New Mexico has term limits on governors. I don't know. But anyway, 2026 is when the next gubernatorial election in New Mexico will be. So anyone who wants to run in 2026, start thinking. Start thinking. 2026 is going to be here soon. All right. Let's see. So Terry is writing about gas going up 15 cents this week. Badger Dan writes about gas going up. No, not Badger Dan. JW writes about gas going up 30 to 40 cents in JW's area in Ohio this week. And so, at different rates, gas prices are going up. In some places, it's going up by 10, 15 cents. In some places, it's going up by 30, 40 cents. It's varying, but it's an increasing trend. It's going up. And so U.S. oil benchmark topped $85 a barrel. It's unbelievable. And, I'm hearing that price will probably go up even further. I mean, the tension in the Middle East, it's ongoing. It's getting worse. We're getting close to election. There's global economic uncertainty. Everything's affecting everything else. And so prices may go up even further. And if it does, are people just going to sit at home and not drive? We're all going to have to sit at home and not drive. All right. What if it goes over $5 per gallon here in Wisconsin? I don't know. There's so much of uncertainty. My friends, let me see some comments here. Anyone else who tuned into the live stream but has not said anything yet, has not participated in the live chat window, please do so. I would appreciate it. And, there's one thing I'll tell you. I published a podcast episode earlier today. And in that podcast episode, I talked about Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. And I asked the question, will Nikki Haley be Donald Trump's vice president? Okay. You can listen to that discussion if you want to get all the updates, all the latest numbers, but I'll give you a quick snapshot of the election on April 2nd that took place here in Wisconsin. There were presidential preference votes, and on the Democratic side, there were 577,000 votes. 577,000 votes. On the Republican side, there were 601,000 votes. And I'm giving you the numbers as of earlier this evening, with more than 95% of the votes counted. So the numbers may change a little bit, but 500. Terry, I see your comment. That's not the case, Terry. That's not the case. Oh my God, Terry, you're gonna make me laugh. You're gonna make me laugh, and I won't be able to continue with the live stream if I just start laughing. Okay, that's all right, Terry. Let me tell you, 577,000 votes counted on the Democratic side, 601,000 votes counted on the Republican side. Terry, don't make me laugh, okay? So there were more votes counted, more votes cast on the Republican side, okay, than the Democratic side. So one would assume that Trump would get more votes than Biden, right? April 2nd. But that was not the case. That was not the case because Trump got 476,000 votes and Biden got 511,000 votes. So Biden got significantly more votes than Trump. Obviously, they were not directly going against each other because the Republicans were voting in the Republican primary, the Democrats were voting in the Democratic primary. But Biden got 511K, so 511,000 votes. Trump got 476,000 votes. And that's because Nikki Haley, in spite of dropping out of the race, she got 76,000 votes. And that's like, my friends, I just want to talk to the Haley voters and say, why are you doing this? Why are you voting for someone who has dropped out of the race? So Haley got 76,000 votes. And so what I said is, if half of those 76,000 votes, if half of those, 76,000 voters would have voted for Trump, then Trump would have gotten more votes than Biden, because you add, like, half of 76 is 38. And so you add 38,000 votes with 476,000 votes, then you get 514,000 votes, 514. And Biden got 511. So all I'm saying is that, the Haley voters will have to come towards Trump's side. But here in Wisconsin, after analyzing the results, I got very scared. And I'm thinking, what if these Haley voters, they decide not to vote for Trump? If they just sit at home, what's going to happen? Or if they show up in the general election and they write in Haley's name, what's going to happen? I mean, those are wasted votes. Those are protest votes. So, I was just throwing out the idea. What if Trump picks Nikki Haley for VP? Then you're going to get all the Haley votes. And obviously the Trump votes are going to be with Trump. But it's not just the votes. The Haley donors, the Haley volunteers, the Haley supporters, the Haley, strategists and political pundits who support Haley, they are probably going to support Haley as VP, which means then they have to support the ticket. They have to support Trump-Haley ticket. Okay? That's what I'm thinking. And anyway, I talked about it in details in that podcast episode, so you can watch it. But I'm just looking for ways to make sure that Trump doesn't lose Wisconsin. Okay, I don't want the Haley voters to sit at home and not vote for Trump in the general election. And so if Trump picks Haley, then he gets the Haley votes and he gets the Haley donors, hopefully too. And even like organizations like Americans for Prosperity that supported Haley, and AFP is a powerful, powerful organization, Americans for Prosperity. And Americans for Prosperity supported Nikki Haley. But then obviously, as I mentioned previously, a couple weeks ago, that AFP then withdrew their support when Haley was performing really poorly. But anyway, it tells me that AFP supports Haley. And, if Haley is picked as the vice president, the candidate, the vice presidential pick, then she's going to get all those organizations that supported her to also support Trump and Haley ticket. So I'm just thinking about ensuring a victory. And I'm thinking, well, in politics, anything is possible. Friends can become political rivals, and political rivals can find ways to work together. So Haley and Trump, they did work together previously. When Trump was the president, Haley was, Haley was the U.S. ambassador to the UN. So is there a possibility that they can put their differences aside and work together to ensure that we have victory in the general election? Because I don't want the Haley voters to sit at home. And as I said, just do the math. Biden got 511,000 votes, so 511,000 votes. Trump got 476,000 votes. Haley got 76,000 votes. If you take half of Haley voters and add them to Trump's tally, then Trump gets 514, which would mean he would get more votes than Biden. So anyway, I'm just looking for ways to ensure a victory in the general election. So I think, I'm not saying Trump has to do it or that's absolutely what I'm recommending, there's no other way. No, I'm just saying Donald Trump should strongly consider picking Haley for VP. Put aside political differences, work together to defeat the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration. So let's see. Laura Floyd is here. Laura, thank you for joining. Terry writes, Wisconsin had open primaries. You can trust Wisconsinites to stay in their lane while driving. How can I trust them to stay in their party ballot? Okay, let me read that comment again. Yeah, so Terry, are you saying you can't trust Wisconsinites to stay in their lane, or you can? Let's see. Oh, can't trust. Got it. Okay, I see the correction now. I don't know, Terry. Tough to answer that. But all I'm saying is, if Haley voters they're just gonna vote for Haley and no one else, then Trump is probably better off picking Haley for VP. I mean, let's go back to 2016. Trump and Mike Pence, totally different personalities. Totally different. Totally different. They are not like each other. Pence has a totally different personality. Trump has a totally different personality. But see how they worked together. And I know that something happened in the end and that now they are not friends anymore. But they had a very successful administration for 4 years. So I'm thinking, well, can Haley and Trump, in spite of their political differences, in spite of their, clash of personalities, can they still find ways to work together and get things done? Okay. And then wouldn't you like to see Haley go against Kamala Harris? I mean, I would love to see, okay, talk to me about Kristi Noem. I would love to see Kristi Noem versus Kamala Harris in a debate. Okay, I would love to see that. But if it's Haley versus Kamala Harris, I think that would also be great. I think Haley is good at debates. And so, I'm just throwing that out as an idea. Feel free to disagree with me, my friends. Feel free to disagree with me, okay? Disagree with me. And you know that Nikki Haley is not my favorite candidate, most favorite. She's not. I have criticized her a lot, okay? I have joked. I have, laughed when I talked about her campaign, and I asked her to drop out. This is not your year, drop out. But I'm seeing the reality here in Wisconsin, and I get worried. I want Donald Trump to get the 10 electoral college votes from Wisconsin. And if the Haley voters sit at home and they don't vote for Trump because they won't vote for Trump, I think, what's the way to ensure that they actually vote for Trump? The only way to do it would be to pick Haley for VP. Let me look at the chat window here. Badgerden writes, Texas has a problem with illegals being able to register and vote without ID. I saw a professor. Oh, Badgerden, is that real? I mean, you saw a video. Can you share that? I don't know much about it. What you're referring to in Texas. So I'm gonna look it up. JW writes, I wouldn't want her for VP, but I do wonder if it would help increase Trump's votes. Exactly. JW, that's what I'm talking about. You know, forget who's your favorite, who's not your favorite. Do you want to see Trump win? How do we ensure that Trump wins? Okay, just think practically. Okay, I mean, I would love to see Kristi Noem as VP. I think I would love that. If it's Tim Scott, I'm fine with that. You know, Tim Scott's great. Ron DeSantis, I think he'd be great. But we can see that the Haley voters, they are adamant. They are going to vote for Haley even when she's not running anymore. So, I mean, I'm just afraid that the Haley voters in Wisconsin, they're just going to sit at home. Or maybe they'll go vote, but they'll vote for their state senator, Republican state senator. They'll vote for their Republican state assemblyman. They'll vote for some of the, their Republican congressional candidates. They'll vote for the Republican U.S. Senate candidate, and they may skip voting for Trump. These Haley voters in Wisconsin, they may vote for all the Republicans who appear on the ballot, and they may skip voting for Trump. That may happen. It's a real possibility. And I'm afraid of that. I don't want that to happen. I want Trump to win. And that's why I'm saying maybe Trump needs to pick Nikki Haley for VP. Okay? She's not my number one VP pick, if you ask me. But we have to win elections. And we cannot deny the fact that Haley, she kept fighting. She has been able to win support. Okay, enough support to cause Trump to get less votes than Biden on April 2nd. Biden got 511,000 votes. Trump got 476,000 votes because Haley took 76,000 votes. So add half of Haley votes to Trump's votes, and then Trump would narrowly win. Okay, with Biden getting 511,000, Trump would then get 514,000 in Wisconsin. And let's not forget that a lot of Biden also lost a lot of votes because there were 48,000 voters who voted uninstructed. On the Democratic side, they voted for uninstructed rather than voting for Joe Biden. So if half of those uninstructed votes get added, so out of 48, if 24,000 of those votes get added to Biden's 511,000, okay, if half of those uninstructed voters, they decide in the general they're going to vote for Biden anyway, then that's going to increase Biden's votes even further. And of course, the Democrats are going to be working at increasing turnout in Wisconsin. You're going to see a whole lot more voters coming out on the Democratic side. So the Republicans will have to win, and it's very challenging here in Wisconsin because it's a battleground state. It's a swing state. So I'm thinking, what can Trump do to win? Who can Trump win? Who can Trump pick to win, to ensure victory? Pick Haley. You get all the Haley voters. You have the Trump voters. Combine them together. And plus, you've got a male-female ticket that adds some diversity. And also, Haley has some immigrant background. So, that might help with some of the diverse voter groups. So I'm just thinking about practical ways to help Trump win. And I'm thinking picking Haley would help. Let me look at the chat window. Maya Sisters writes, not enthusiastic about Haley for VP. She's a war hawk. Yeah, there will no matter who you pick, there'll always be those pros and cons. So I understand, Maya Sisters, your concern there. Badger Den writes, I don't trust Haley. Well, once again, I'm just throwing that out as something to think about, but I'm not saying. And Badger Den, you've been following my channel, and you know what I've been saying about Haley. I'm not a fan of Haley. I do acknowledge that she's a high profile politician. She served as the governor of South Carolina. She served as the U.S. ambassador to the UN. So she is very successful. But I obviously don't agree with her on a lot of policy issues. I agree with Trump on most things, but I don't agree with Haley on many things. And so, would I love to see Kristi Noem as VP? Absolutely. Would I love to see Ron DeSantis for VP? Absolutely. I would prefer to see Ron DeSantis or Kristi Noem more than I would prefer to see Haley. But Haley is definitely having an impact. And I'm just afraid that the Haley voters are going to sit at home and we're going to lose the election. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want 4 more years of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Our country is going to be destroyed if Joe Biden gets reelected for 4 more years. Let's look at the chat window here. So yeah, Maya Sisters writes, Pence brought Trump Christian evangelical votes. What does Haley bring to the table? Good question. Good question. All I can say is Haley's gonna probably bring the never Trumpers to vote for Trump. Okay. I mean, that's all I can say, because a lot of the Haley voters are never Trumpers. Okay. So it's like if Trump picks Haley, I'm just gonna laugh now. If Trump picks Nikki Haley for VP, then he's sort of gonna force the never Trumpers to vote for him. All right. So JW writes exactly. JW, are you writing exactly because you agree with what I'm saying? I mean, see, who supports Haley? The never Trumpers. Folks who are never going to vote for Trump, they support Haley. But what if Trump picks Haley for VP? Then the never Trumpers are going to have to vote for their favorite candidate Haley, and by default they end up voting for Trump. So that's what I'm saying. Okay. I wish so JW agrees with me. JW agrees with me. It's like, see, Donald Trump, he's a businessman, he's a politician, he's an entertainer, he's a very, very sharp individual. Okay? He's a diplomat. He's everything. He's a genius. So what can you do? What can Trump do to make the never Trumpers vote for him? Like all those people out there in the world, okay? To the north, to the south, to the east, to the west, around us, all those never Trumpers. What can Trump do to make sure that the never Trumpers have no other option but to vote for Trump? You pick Haley. All right? That's my point. All right, let's see. Terry writes, I'll vote for Trump no matter who his VP is. Exactly, Terry. That's what I'm saying. The Trump supporters are going to stay with Trump. The Trump supporters are going to stay with Trump no matter who he picks for VP. Because the Trump supporters are not voting for the VP. The Trump supporters are voting for Trump. Okay? But the never Trumpers, the never ever Trumpers, all those people who said never going to vote for Trump, all those folks are going to vote for Trump if Trump picks Nikki Haley as VP. Because they're not going to vote for Trump. They're going to vote for Haley, and they'll end up voting for Trump. All right, that's how it works. Okay, let's see. Terry Dunlap writes, will Haley be a good 2028 presidential candidate? If Haley, given what Haley did, I don't think she's gonna do great in 2028. She's not, okay? Because she has lost the support of the Trump voters. The only way that Haley will become a good 2028 candidate is if she becomes, friends with Trump. If she endorses Trump, if she supports Trump, if she campaigns for Trump, if she is on the same ticket with Trump, then Haley has a good chance in 2028. Okay, let's see. But I'm not thinking about Haley's political future. I'm thinking about Trump's political future. I want Trump to win. And that's why I'm saying pick Haley, maybe. Okay? I mean, Trump doesn't have to listen to me. I'm just throwing that out as an idea. Um, Badgerden writes, Kristi Noem would destroy Kamala in a debate. Kristi Noem and Kamala debate. I mean, if that debate happens, forget everything. Cancel everything else on your schedule. Okay? You're supposed to meet up with a friend that evening. Cancel it. You're supposed to go out and eat. Cancel it. You're supposed to go somewhere for a trip. Cancel it. Cancel whatever you're doing. If it's going to be a Kristi Noem Kamala Harris debate, that's what you're going to watch. That's the most important thing that you're going to have to watch that evening whenever it takes place. All right. So Badger Den, if that happens, I'm looking forward to it. So let's see. Let's see. Chris Christie. JW is writing about Chris Christie. I mean, look at people like Chris Christie. Didn't he say he won't vote for Trump? Maybe if Nikki is on the ticket, he would vote for them. You know, Chris Christie, one candidate, one individual. If he doesn't vote for Trump, if he doesn't vote at all, if he just stays home, fine. You know, stay home. I mean, Chris Christie. I'm not going to comment on Chris Christie. Okay, I'm just not. Okay, if I make a list of my least favorite political people, all right, least favorite, Chris Christie is on that list. Okay, all right. Not even least favorite, like, you know, people in politics who I don't like. All right, Chris Christie is on that list. Um, Terry writes, I'm thinking about our country's political future. Exactly. And our country's political future will be bright if Trump wins. And how does Trump win? That's what we have to figure out. All right, let's see. JW writes, I'm nervous he'll vote for Biden. Chris Christie can vote for whoever he wants. All right. I mean, you know, he can vote for Biden. He can vote for RFK Jr. He can vote for Jill Stein. He can vote for whoever he wants. He can write in somebody else's name. I don't know. JW writes, I'm worried about a few people doing that. So you're worried about a few of the never Trumpers, you know, doing that, right? Not voting for Trump. You know, there'll always be some never Trumpers, but you know, how do you get most of the never Trumpers or a big portion of the never Trumpers to vote for Trump? That's what we have to do. That's what we have to figure out. So anyway, I'm just throwing an idea out there. Will Nikki Haley be Trump's vice president? I think we're gonna find out soon, whoever it's gonna be, because obviously the July RNC, the Republican National Convention, is coming up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we're gonna know soon. JW writes, not a few. I'm worried about a lot of them doing that. Yeah, you know. So JW, we're gonna have to find out how to how to get the never Trumpers to vote for Trump. That's gonna be the important thing. So yeah, well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But do watch that that podcast episode. It's just 15 minutes. Reese from Washington State. Hi, Reese. Reese writes, we can't take another 4 years of Biden. We can't. You know, the country is going to be broke. All right. We're going to be bankrupt. We're already heading towards bankruptcy as a country. All right. We can't take another 4 years of Joe Biden, Biden Kamala, not just Biden Harris. Not, it's just. My sister's right. Chris Christie should have ran in 2012 against Obama. He missed his chance. Timing is important. I think Haley, like Pence, missed your chance to run as president. Yeah. You know, Chris Christie, I don't think Chris Christie would have been a good president. I just don't think so. Okay. Yeah, I mean, in 2012, um, you know, in I was so 2012 was our opportunity to really win, but sadly we lost. Now, in retrospect, was Mitt Romney the greatest candidate, the greatest nominee? Probably not. Okay. Um, you know, what happened happened. It's done. What can we say? Um, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I remember. So I came to the United States in 2007 as an immigrant. So I remember, in 2008, watching all those presidential debates, 2007, 8, that cycle, watching the presidential debates. And, I remember um, Rick Perry, Rick Perry, uh, he ran in 2008, right? Rick Perry and Ron Paul. Ron Paul was a big name. Uh, there were so many Ron Paul supporters. Remember Ron Paul? Amazing, right? Rand Paul's dad, Ron Paul. Um, and then Mike Huckabee. I remember Mike Huckabee. And who else do I? Uh, who? Herman Cain. You remember Herman Cain? Now, did Herman Cain run in 2012? I think it was 2012, right? Herman Cain. Yeah, Herman Cain, passed away now. May his soul rest in peace. I really liked Herman Cain. He was just great. Um, let's see. Let's see some comments here. JW writes, not sure the country will make it another 4 years with another 4 years of this. You know, I mean, you know, we're we as a country, we're going bankrupt with every passing minute. We are going bankrupt. I mean, our national debt is climbing. The value of money is falling because of inflation and geopolitical crisis. I mean, look at Middle East, look at unrest in Europe, look at tension in Asia, in the Indo-Pacific region. I mean, all these clashes and conflicts and unrest. I mean, it's it all affects us. It all affects us. It all affects us. And so, because we live in an interconnected world, we're doing trade, we're doing, um, you know, um, trade and business and sharing of knowledge and information and travel and tourism. It's just difficult. And Biden's cabinet, he has such a terrible cabinet. You judge a president by the people the president picks to serve in the administration. Biden has, I mean, look at Pete Buttigieg, Department of Transportation Secretary. I mean, what's his accomplishment really? I mean, air travel has become such a pain. And then, all these, look at the shipping industry. What's happening there? The tragedy in Maryland with that vessel hitting the bridge, and then there was another incident in Oklahoma, and anyway, um, and then of course these administration people, they are trying to interfere with the market forces, and they are trying to push electric vehicles on people when most Americans, I mean, Americans want freedom. They want to be free to choose whatever kind of vehicle they want. Why should the administration push electric vehicles and impose all these regulations and rules and standards, emission standards on the gas vehicles? I mean, that's just wrong. So Trump is going to be a great president as he was previously, but another 4 years of Biden, our country is going to be bankrupt. All right, let's see. All right. Let's see some other comments. I just want to thank you all for joining. I mean, my friend Terry from South Dakota, a great supporter of this channel, and Reese from Washington State. Thank you, Reese. You indicated this is your first time, so welcome, Reese. JW from Ohio, always good to see you, JW. Maya Sisters from the neighboring city of Middleton here in Wisconsin. Maya Sisters, always great to see you join here. And then Badger Den obviously is a great supporter of this channel. Badger Den from New York. Thank you for joining. Janet Cobb joined today. So Janet, thank you so much. Um, and am I missing anyone? Laura Floyd from Texas. Laura, always great to see that you could tune in. Really appreciate it very, very much. And my friends, that's all I have for today. I know we're approaching the 1 hour and we're past the 1 hour and 25-minute mark. Thank you all for being here. Um, there's one thing you can do for me, my friends. Help me spread my message. Help me reach a bigger audience. I'm seriously asking you. Spread the word about my channel. Tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your neighbors about this channel. When you meet people, like-minded individuals, ask them to check out my channel. Give them my name. Have them look me up on YouTube. And if you run into somebody who doesn't agree with you on political issues, on policy issues, tell them, hey, type Tausif Anam on YouTube and check out his channel, because I want people with different political views to come and listen to what I have to say. Okay, I know I have a lot of like-minded friends here, people who uh, you know, think in a similar way, people who agree with a lot of my viewpoints. Now, of course, we may have some disagreements about who the vice presidential pick should be. Some would say Kristi Noem, some would say Tim Scott, some would say, Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley or Vivek Ramaswamy. But we all are like-minded and we all want the same things. We want Donald Trump to win. We want the United States to be a strong and prosperous country. But there are people out there who may also want, you know, the United States to be strong and prosperous, but maybe they have their political views are different. Maybe uh, you know, they don't have as much information to make informed decisions. Maybe they're confused about some of the policy issues. Maybe they're not paying attention to the border crisis and everything that's happening. So if you run into people who are, they lean liberal, ask them to check out my channel. We'll have a conversation. I'll present the truth. I'll answer questions. So, just ask more people to come and check out my channel and tell them, hey, every night at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Central Time, we do a live stream and we have a conversation. So, if you want to learn more, if you want to learn more about conservative viewpoints, check out this channel. And if you disagree, well, you can feel free to share the disagreement through the chat window. Anyone who disagrees with me can write in the chat window why the person thinks I'm wrong. I'll listen to the argument and I'll answer. We can have a conversation. We can have a dialogue, because that's what our country is about. We are free to express our views and opinions. So my friends, help me reach more people. You know, Conservatives, liberals, just ask them to check out my channel. And at the end of the day, if they don't like me and they don't want to hear me talk again, you know, maybe they won't click on my videos again, and that's fine. But we have to start having these dialogues, and the next few months are very important. We're already in April. April will go by very quickly, and then you're going to have May, June, July, August, September, October, and then there'll be November. So we have to reach new people. We have to reach people who may not be Republicans, may not be conservatives, but they don't like what Biden is doing. Let's reach those people and let's try to change their hearts and minds. Let's try to convince them to join the conservative movement, because we are all about freedom. We are all about protecting our constitutional rights. We are all about, making this country great again. Let's look at the live chat window here. Reese writes, thank you. Janet Cobb writes, you're welcome. Terry, let's get, as you said, let's get more undecided voters to tune into my live streams. Focus writes, "What's up?" Focus, great to see that you're here. Thank you. Focus also writes, um, "Big wins in Wisconsin last night for the GOP." Yeah, the two constitutional amendments, both the yes votes won. So private funding uh, in Wisconsin's election banned, and only election officials will be able to administer elections in Wisconsin. So both very big victories for conservatives. And Terry writes, "We see toss of secret." Terry, Terry, I'm just sharing some thoughts and presenting some practical strategies on how to win in 2024. All right, Terry, that's all I'm doing. All right. That's all I'm doing, Terry. Terry, you're gonna make me laugh. You're gonna make me laugh, Terry. I'm already laughing. If I start laughing even more, I won't be able to talk. You'll just see me on camera just laughing, laughing, laughing. Um, Focus writes, Dem mayor flipped to GOP in Wisconsin. Yeah, that's in Wausau. That's in the beautiful city of Wausau. That's where that happened. We had a big victory in the mayoral race. So Focus, remind me again what state you are from. I think you may have mentioned it before, but I may have forgotten, Focus. So please, if you want to write it again, that'd be great. Yeah, please, if you don't mind, just write. Are you from? Am I thinking New York? Arkansas. I will remember it now. Arkansas. Yes, we talked about, I think, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the great governor of Arkansas. So thank you. Um, thanks for reminding me again. And sorry that I forgot the first time. So I'll remember it now. Arkansas, wonderful state, red state of Arkansas, Republican state. Terry writes Clinton's home state, and then two hearts. Focus. I'll let you respond to Terry. Okay, you can, feel free to respond to my friend Terry here. She just wrote Clinton's home state. All right. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'll let you respond. All right. Oh, when I think of Arkansas, I think of Mike Huckabee and Huckabee Sanders. All right, I don't think about the Clintons. I think about the Huckabee Sanders. Okay, so glad to see that you're here. Yeah, we had some major victories, and I keep telling people that the local elections are so important. The mayors, the city councilors, the village board members, the town board members, the county supervisors. These are very important races. It's not just, U.S. House or U.S. Senate or president or governor's office. Yeah, those are obviously very important seats, very important races, but you have to focus on the local races because local policies matter. I mean, you don't want liberal local elected officials who are going to raise your taxes and fees. You don't want that. So you're going to have to go for conservative candidates at all levels of government, including the local level. Let me look at the chat window here. All right. We're talking about Arkansas. I have not visited Arkansas, okay? But I want to visit Arkansas. I've been to Oklahoma. I've been to Missouri. I've obviously been to Texas. I love Texas. And Kansas, and other states in the East and West Coast I've been to, and obviously the Midwest. I've not been to Arkansas, so that's on my list. Maybe I'll make a road trip to Arkansas. Yeah, I want to go to Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi. I've been to Tennessee. I've been to Kentucky. Anyway, I haven't been to Arkansas, so that's on my list. Um, where in Arkansas are you from, Focus? Which part of Arkansas? You can let me know if you want to. It's up to you. Sometimes I ask questions, but you can feel free to answer if you want to. I mean, it's up to you. I just want to know. I like asking questions. If you let me ask questions, I'll ask a lot of questions. Because I want to get to know you. All my all my friends, a lot of friends who I have not met in person, people who have discovered me through my YouTube channel, people who I've gotten to know over the last few months because I'm doing live stream and I get to have conversations with you. So sometimes I want to get to know more about you, and so I may just ask questions. So that's why I asked Focus which part of Arkansas you're from. So you're writing Southern Arkansas. That's wonderful to hear. Um, let's see. All right, Terry's talking about judges of long terms. Yeah, I'm so glad we have a wonderful U.S. Supreme Court. We have some wonderful justices on the Supreme Court, and we're gonna have to thank Trump. Thank Trump for ensuring a conservative Supreme Court, and you're also gonna have to thank Mitch McConnell. I know Mitch McConnell, people have different thoughts about Mitch McConnell. Some like him and some don't. Leadership positions are hard, obviously, because, uh, whenever you're in Congress in a leadership role, automatically some people like you, some people don't. So, a lot of people praise Mitch McConnell, a lot of people criticize Mitch McConnell, but obviously he played a very important role in making sure that the 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 individuals that Trump nominated for Supreme Court, that they go through the proper process and they can get confirmed to the court. So Mitch McConnell obviously played an important role in that process. But thank God that we had President Trump who confirmed such awesome justices. I mean, Amy Coney Barrett and Justice Gorsuch and Justice Kavanaugh. I mean, really amazing, amazing people. All right. Um, let's see. And I think Lindsey Graham also played an important role, and also Chuck Grassley, uh, you know, folks on the Judiciary Committee. They played such a vital role in ensuring that we have solid conservative justices on the Supreme Court. I love the justices on the Supreme Court, the conservative justices. Of course, Justice Thomas is just wonderful. And also, um, obviously we miss Justice Scalia. Justice Scalia is just such a wonderful. He was just such a wonderful, brilliant legal mind, Justice Antonin Scalia. And let me just share one thing with you. Oh, let me ask you. You remember Justice Antonin Scalia, right? I mean, please write something. Write something. Uh, we all remember Justice Antonin Scalia, right, on the Supreme Court. Um, uh, yeah. So I'm gonna share with you one picture. Okay. So Justice Antonin Scalia, who passed away a few years ago, may his soul rest in peace. I'm gonna show you a picture that, and I'm gonna tell you who this is. So you see this individual. So that's me with Eugene Scalia. Okay, this individual standing next to me, so you can see me. And then the person next to me is Eugene Scalia. He is the son of former Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. So I got to meet Eugene Scalia when he visited Wisconsin. Okay, this was a few years ago, and it was such an honor to meet him. Uh, and so Eugene Scalia served in the Trump cabinet, so he was secretary in President Trump's cabinet. So it was just wonderful to meet Secretary Eugene Scalia, son of former Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. So just really, I wanted to share that with you real quick. I just looked it up on my phone and wanted to share that. This picture was taken in 2020, actually. Yeah, this was in 2020. Yeah, he was the Secretary of Labor. He was the Labor Secretary. So Focus is writing nice. Yeah, it was just such a wonderful experience. Really, a wonderful gentleman, Eugene Scalia, son of Antonin Scalia. So yeah, Trump had some really great people in his cabinet, really great people. Okay, and I mean Ben Carson, Eugene Scalia, and Mike Pompeo did a lot of good work, I think. And there were lots of other people, so I won't go through the whole list. And obviously, we know there were lots of changes also. So Trump had cabinet secretaries who either were let go or they resigned and new people came in, so there was a lot of turnover, which I think was part of the challenge, because Trump selected a few people and then he had to select more new people. And so in a 4-year time span, having that kind of turnover was a bit challenging. But I think from that experience, Trump has learned a lot. And so I'm hoping that when he gets elected, um, I can say if and when, but I'm gonna say when because I'm feeling so positive. I'm hoping that he does get elected again. So when Trump gets elected again, I think in his second term, he's going to be very wise, even more wise about picking the right people for his cabinet, to make sure that there isn't a lot of turnover, so people aren't leaving and new people needing to be brought onto the team. So I'm hoping that Trump will do a great job of picking the right people for his cabinet, if and when I'm going to say when he gets elected again, because I'm hoping, really hoping and praying that Trump gets elected in November of 2024. So let's see. Yeah, Terry writes, terrible shock when he died. Yes, Terry is referring to Justice Antonin Scalia. What a great legal scholar. It was really terrible. It was such a shock when he died. Really, it's just unbelievable. My friends, it's going to be a very interesting season. Um, Election season, political season. There's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot that needs to be accomplished. And, at the end of the day, it's really about meeting the voters. So I know that all over the country, the Republican Party, they're going to do their strategy. They're going to have their volunteers and their staff, and they'll have different get out the vote campaigns, and they'll have different strategies to basically win elections. But what's most important, I think, is to make sure that we are reaching out to the voters. We are reaching out to the voters, in person. I mean, TV commercials are okay, radio ads are okay, internet ads are okay, but it's important to meet the voters in their communities face to face, right? Knock on doors and, do political events in the area and, have food, have, speakers and get in touch with the people in the neighborhood and tell them about the Republican agenda, which is really freedom, limited government, more freedom. That's really the Republican agenda, if you ask me. We all want limited government and we want more freedom. That's what we want. So, my friends, does anyone have any more questions or comments? Anything you want to share? Um, Focus writes, Master Lock shut down in Wisconsin after being open for 100 years. Let me look up that news here. Master Lock, obviously, a very, very well-known company. Yeah, Master Lock. I see that. I see that here. Yeah. See, a lot of businesses, Focus. Let me just share with you. A lot of businesses uh, are are laying people off. Lots of layoffs are happening here in Wisconsin too. And then even small businesses are cutting their staff. And, a lot of small businesses that were thinking about expanding and growing the size of their operations, they're not going forward with those plans. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, and let me just share something here. So let's say there's a company that wants to build a new warehouse, okay, or expand the size of the assembly of the manufacturing floor. So obviously you make plans, you have to budget for it as a company, you make plans, but then the material prices go up. Inflation causes uncertainty. So if your original budget was $500,000, now it may be, because of material prices going up, because of labor costs and so on and so forth, it may now be $200,000 more than what you had originally planned for. And so a lot of businesses are running into situations where they planned for expansions, they planned for growth, but now they can't go forward with those plans because prices have jumped, and prices may jump even further. There may be recession. There may be, I mean, if you ask me, a lot of people will say there's already recession, okay, because they can see the economic pain in their community. So anyway, a lot of small businesses are suffering. A lot of large businesses are suffering. There are layoffs. People are losing jobs. Rent is going up. Mortgage is unaffordable. House prices have gone up, and people feel stuck in their communities because you can easily sell your home, but can you easily buy another home if you have to move and go to a different place? So I mean, all these uncertainties, people are suffering as a result of all of that. And so, as Focus writes, that's why we need Trump. We truly, truly, we need Trump. We need Trump. So I'm looking forward to seeing Trump elected again in 2024. So with that, my friends, I'm gonna end this live stream. Let's all support Trump, and let's wait and see who he picks for vice president. So my friends, we're close to the 1 hour 50-minute time mark. I'm gonna end this live stream here. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you all being here. Please stay connected. Please help me spread my message. Help me connect with a bigger audience. So tell your friends, family members, and neighbors to check out my YouTube channel. My friends, thank you so much. Let's pray for Donald Trump. Let's make America great again. Thank you all for joining again, and I'll be back soon with more videos, more live stream. Have a wonderful night, my friends. Have a very wonderful night. See you again soon. Thank you.